Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Jeja Flazanes, your producer and empowerment strategist. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today will be a solo show. It will be short, it will be sweet, and it will be profound because I have a question for you. I want to fine-tune something that's been going on in the community and with clients and with Inner Circle members and with empowerment strategists, beta trainers. I want to look at, and I want you to think about the difference between, we're going to fine tune something, okay? The difference between something that is hard and uncomfortable versus something that doesn't resonate and is out of alignment. Now you may say, well, what's the difference between something that's in alignment that's uncomfortable? So one of the things that I work on when I do my classes, and by the way, today is the number one absolute last chance to get in on the live class. And just what that means is it'll be live in June, and you don't have to be at every class. But if you have any desire to have me help you personally for not that much money, within a 4-week class that you can revisit at any time and repeat as often as you like, today is the absolute last day, because we start tonight, to get into the Law of Attraction Mastery course, jjflazanes.com/mastery. And the conversation I'm going to have with you today is a little bit about what I'm going to work on in the mastery course and definitely at the boot camp. And yesterday, well, too late now. we are past early bird, and we are now just in open enrollment. There's a 3-pay plan and there is a full pay plan. And if you are interested in coming to the boot camp, because the tickets will sell out and I'll have to cap it because I can only have so many people in the room, jjflazanes.com/bootcamp. So one of the things that I want to talk to you about is something that's been coming up for me and something I've been teaching in the Empowerment Strategist group when I'm looking at some of the tools that I use and how we assess what someone needs to do next to either heal emotionally, heal physically, move forward, increase the temperature of their frequency to attract more. There's a fine-tuned difference between when you know in your gut, when you know in your solar plexus that there's something that's right for you, but you're afraid. That is one thing. And then there's the other where something is not right for you. It doesn't resonate. It feels off completely. Nothing about it resonates. I find that a lot of people get stuck in the first scenario. They think, well, I know I need to do something, but I'm afraid. So I'm going to do these habits and patterns because I'm afraid, and I'm not conscious about choosing this, but I'm afraid, even though I have this gnawing inside of me that knows I have to do something different. I can't articulate it. I'm not sure what it is, but I know it's there. So in the meantime, I'm just going to continue my patterns and habits, and I'm going to continue to be in my comfort zone because I keep misinterpreting that something that scares me is something that doesn't resonate with me. I hope you're following me so far. In one of the episodes I did recently, maybe the one with Christy Whitman, I believe I was telling you all about what happened to me at the mastermind with the Inner Circle in March. I'd had an experience where I had a calling, and the calling was speaking very clearly to me, and it was scary. So that doesn't mean that I don't do it. It just means that I have to grow into it. And a lot of times people think that if I'm afraid of it, it must not be the right choice. And a lot of people misinterpret law of attraction to think that if I don't feel great every step of the way, then it must not be the right choice. And I want you to think about that for a second, because how do we grow? If you're always in your comfort zone, how do you grow past that? How do you learn how to receive more than you already have? There has to be a little bit of that discomfort. There has to be a little bit of those growing pains, that caterpillar into the butterfly. There has to be that evolution and expansion, and contrast sometimes can help us. Well, contrast always helps us, but contrast can help identify I'm uncomfortable, yet inside I know I need this. So I'm going to stop for a second, and I want you to think about where in your life you've stopped yourself. Where have you stopped yourself from growing because you're afraid? And where do we let fear get in the way all the time? And when do we think it's going to get better? By repeating the same things over and over again. Hopefully you're following me. I've had many discussions over the last couple of weeks on Marco Polo's and the groups, in the masterminds, in the empowerment strategist group. And it just keeps coming up that when we look at, here's what I'm comfortable with and here's what I want to do next. And then the degree at which we move, the degree at which we want to change, the degree in which we take steps because I don't want to be too uncomfortable. Well, here's a thought for you to take and sit with for a couple of days. Whatever you have the most fear around, but yet there's a groundingness feeling to it also, that's the thing you need to do. The thing that scares you the most is the fastest path to breaking the cycle of patterns that keep you stuck where you are. If you know that you have a lack of trust, surrender is terrifying. But at some point, if we don't willingly choose it, we will manifest conditions, circumstances, patterns, habits, people, and contrast in order to force us to do it. So stop for a second and ask yourself, what scares me the most? What are the things that frighten me the most? I'll tell you that back when I was married, one of the things that frightened me the most was failure of my marriage because I didn't want to have shame about talking to you about that. I didn't want to fail. I have all these tools for a reason. Right. But I also didn't realize I was taking on responsibility for another person that I didn't need to, and that the contract had ended and that I'd gotten what I needed and I'd gotten what I wanted and vice versa. And you can't force anyone to be where they are. I had no idea I'd manifest exactly what I wanted within hours of that decision and me taking that stance, taking that step. You guys heard last week, Doug and I tell you about manifesting our dream home, but the whole time I still had doubt. I had doubt because I had never done it before. Now, I had done it in relationships. I had done it with money. I had done it in other ways, but I've never bought a house before. So even though I said to my realtor, I get the things that people tell me I can't get, and I meant it in the moment because I was frustrated and because I was declaring my track record out loud because I didn't like the limitations being placed on me for how to be or think in this market. Like, it's almost like you have to do what everybody else expects you to do. You have to behave in the way that everyone else behaves because that's what everyone else expects. And I don't play by those rules because I don't live in that frequency. And I hope you understand when I say that, that's not an arrogant thing. That's a frequency physics thing. I mean, you can look around at any point and see who is living in a different reality than you are. And it's literally nothing more than a belief and a choice. If I choose to say and believe and talk about and focus on this set of circumstances, I'm going to be around other people and attract other people who believe the same set of circumstances. But if I choose to believe something different, I'm probably not going to interact with the other ones who don't believe this. And again, it's just a simple physics and frequency conversation. So back to doing the things that scare you. I had to really think about what scares me, and that scared me to leave my marriage or to put it on hold because I knew that in order for us to have any chance, things had to make a dramatic shift. So that was really scary. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with that it was still scary when I did it. We were both in tears. But I was afraid, definitely was afraid of what you'd think about me, afraid of what the world would think about me, afraid of what it would look like to have a book called Fit to Love and talk about the manifestation of my husband, which I still do because it still was a real thing. It did really happen, and it was exactly the right thing at the exactly right time, and it ended exactly when it needed to. It's about trusting the process. But I had to have the courage to ask for what I wanted and to say, I really want more than this. And I really think that I deserve more than this because of what I put out into the world and the effort and the attention that I have towards this. Now, since then, I think the biggest thing that scares me is what I talked about on the episode with Christy Whitman when she interviewed me, which was about going into sacred feminine work. I've always done it and I've always been interested in it, but I've never led it. And again, I can go in anyone's classroom and do it and be completely open, free, and surrendered and literally follow any direction someone would tell me to do. But there's a difference when you stand in the front of the room and you're now leading others. And it's when I started my live events back in 2018 and I did Releasing What Weighs You Down, that was a coming out for me. I had lots of people, clients, my ex-husband, family members, therapists. I had people tell me, don't do this. You're not qualified. And I just thought, well, I don't know why I need someone else to qualify me. I can read the same book you can read. I can implement the same tools in my life, and I see it working. Why wouldn't I share that with someone else? Because I have to go get a degree? So it was scary to put myself out there with the potential of being rejected. Same thing with the mastermind. The first year I offered the mastermind, I was terrified. I was terrified of being rejected. The only thing that really saved me in that moment was understanding that every single person in that room is like you. They listen to the show. They have a relationship with me that I don't know about because I didn't know them. And they took a chance and they came to the event. The minute they get there, I have a real relationship with them now because I know them, and there's a know, like, and trust that happens. And so I knew that if I made this offer, it wasn't a rejection of me if they didn't want to do it. It was just the wrong offer at the wrong time. Or maybe it was the wrong offer, period. But I had to try it, to test it, to know. And how often are you, and be honest with yourself, how often are you not doing something because your biggest fear is someone else criticizing you? I can't tell you how that is the biggest relinquish of power that you're doing to yourself. By always making decisions and defaulting on, I'm going to stay in this fear bubble because if I step out of it and someone criticizes me, it's going to hurt. But then you have to ask yourself the question, what's the goal and what's the mission? Is the mission to live the purpose, live the dream, live your impulses, to follow your path? Or is the dream to constantly ask others to reflect back to you who they think you are and for you to believe them? Anyway, just some thoughts I've been having over the last 2 weeks that I wanted to share in a short form here on today's episode, which is, again, going to be very short. But I just want you to recognize, I want you to ask yourself, what scares me the most? And if you can be really honest about that, that's the thing to do. Because then you break the bubble of fear. I don't remember if it was Doug or, I know Doug has said it, but I feel like Doug and someone else has said to me, I think you're fearless. And it's not true, but I think it's because every time I find something I'm afraid of, I go into it. Like I go, okay, let's do this. I don't like something else having power over me. I don't like giving my power away by saying I'm afraid of that, therefore I'm going to stay away from it. So I don't know if that's the triple Sag and the Aries in me, but I don't like that. It doesn't feel good to feel that something else can make decisions for me or sway me into a decision. So think about that. Write it down. Journal about it. Journal about what terrifies you. Because here's the thing. When I've coached people recently, and I've been saying this over and over again, I've probably said it here on the show. When you say something scares me or terrifies me, just know that terrifying and scared and fear is literally some of the same exact body sensations as excitement. So just like in Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, where he talks about worry and upper limiting yourself, instead of telling yourself, well, this thing scares me, therefore I'm not going to do it. The only difference between fear and excitement is the story that you're telling. It's the picture in your mind. And fear means you're going to fail. So now when I think about, and even when I cry because I'm triggered and challenged and called to grow and be bigger and to allow more in and to again, move into and expand into an area that's even scarier for me, like I know I have to do it. But I also am allowing what needs to emerge to come through versus hiding and ignoring it and drinking it away, eating it away, numbing it away. Just notice these patterns in your life. So what I want you to do right now, if you haven't already, is to, and if you're driving, obviously you do this when you get somewhere where you're not driving, to take out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, and I'd like you to write it, but you can go ahead and put it in your phone also. Just note the things that scare you the most. Maybe you make an order of how scary something is. Maybe you have 5 things that scare you. Start with the one with the least amount of intensity and do that. Because once you do it once, you'll be like, oh, well, that was not a big deal. And then you'll move on to the second one. But when it comes to relationships, manifesting the relationship that you want, when it comes to money and business and being on purpose, we want to go into the fear to obliterate it. We want to create a new story, and we want to move through it so it has no more power over you. So do the thing that scares you. But do the thing that scares you that you know is still in alignment with you, that resonates with you. That's the difference. If something is not resonating with you, it feels off completely, 100%. There's no part of your body, no frequency in you that's resonating with that, then that is out of alignment. But there are things that I know you are all thinking about right now, about the things that you know in your gut, you know in your solar plexus, you know in your heart, that is right for you, or it's something that you like to do, but you keep talking yourself out of it because it scares you. Let's not let fear win anymore. If you want help with this, again, today is the very last day for this to be live. Again, if you're listening to this in the future, you can go ahead and go to jjflizanes.com/mastery and buy the Law of Attraction Mastery course and start it today. However, if it is June 2021, you cannot do it until July or possibly August. All right, but we're starting tonight. jjflizanes.com/mastery. And if that's not the right thing for you, I encourage you to come to the Bootcamp. The Manifestation Bootcamp, we are going to work through this and give you support. You will have a community behind you. You'll have a community with you who also has similar feelings, which makes doing this together as a group and collectively so much easier. When you keep your feelings and your fears locked inside of you quiet, they own you. When you give them voice, when you let them out, when you express them, just by letting them out, you let go a little bit and they no longer have the same amount of power. So I invite you to consider either the mastery course that's happening today, and then it's closed. You can't get in as of tomorrow because we start today, or coming to the bootcamp. And if you have any questions, you can email Ashley, my assistant, ashley@invisiblefitness.com, or you can email me, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about the course or about the bootcamp. I will tell you there are frequently asked questions on both of those pages, so please go check it out. I have so much content coming for you that you're going to really enjoy. Today was one of those days I just wanted to cap the momentum that's been happening over the last 2 weeks since we've moved into this house, since we've had guests, since I've been teaching some of this to other trainers, and really wanting to put it out there for you to think about, for you to feel about, and then for you to act on in whatever way is right for you. I hope to see you in the class or at the boot camp or somewhere soon. Again, you can also join the Inner Circle membership. We are having a group call once a month, and that is jjflizanes.com/inner circle, where you get a free, well, it's not free. You get what's part of the $14.99 a month is to get a group coaching call. And I'd love to meet you. I'd love to meet others in the community so you can feel not only supported, but you can feel inspired. And you can know that you're not alone, and others are on the same path, and others are also being brave and having courage to break that upper limit and move into a place of receiving more than they ever have before. Have a great week.